All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday, November 4th. Oh, no, that means that the trade deadline is upon us today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're going to be making a move to acquire another team's player, well, you better have that deal in place by then. But that's going to dominate most of our headlines today. But first, we're going to talk about the Monday night game. Jacoby Brissett, our guy, fan of, or fan, show of the fan. We like him. We like Jacoby Brissett here at the Hat and Beard Show. Jacoby Brissett snaps Cardinals losing streak with 3 touchdown night versus Cowboys. Kyler Murray still starter upon return. Ooh, gross. Well, the Cardinals are lame, but the Cowboys are even more lame now. I'll be very honest with you guys. I kind of figured that Arizona was going to win this game despite Jacoby Brissett playing, but I tuned in there at the very last bit of the third quarter and poked around in the fourth quarter. And I was like, oh, wow, Arizona's going to fall apart and somehow Dallas is going to come back. But that did not happen, and Jacoby Brissett went into Dallas and continues to do these goofy little Jacoby Brissett things. He is like the modern day, even though they played in the NFL at the same era, but he's your modern day journeyman Ryan Fitzpatrick. Jacoby Brissett magic getting smoked out there down in Arizona. Oopsie poopsie, I just totally dropped my power block. Hang on, we're going to casually just go ahead and lift this up without you guys noticing. I'm so professional, you didn't even notice that I just did that there. We will then talk about the forefront and keep an eye kind of poking around at the NFL trade deadline. CBSSports.com has pulled up for us 2025 NFL trade deadline. Live updates, rumors, surprise moves, and teams making last minute pushes. We're going to be refreshing this bad boy here just to kind of keep it fresh and honest. Obviously, the first trade was Logan Wilson going from the Bengals to the Cowboys. Dallas probably would have liked to have said, hey, buddy, welcome to the show. We just had a victory on Monday night, but that's unfortunately not going to happen. So Logan Wilson going from one dumpster fire over to another. Seattle unlikely to trade Reek Woolen. That's kind of a poop in the pants here at the Hat and Beard Show. We kind of liked Reek Woolen, and the possibility of a nice 1-year secondary rental player sound appealing to me, but Seattle's just going to go ahead and put a little poop in my own pants. Discussion, though, Pride of Detroit going to kick it locally to you guys here. Who are the best NFL trade deadline fits for Detroit? Hey, look at some of the NFL's best trade deadline targets for the Lions. Jeremy Reisman, fan. We like Jeremy Reisman. The guy does good work over there at prideofdetroit.com. We do have then 10 players the Lions could target, just to kind of keep piling on. Obviously, it's going to dominate the show, which is why I'd like you guys to go ahead and take a look over in the chat. Those of you watching live, we do have a poll up there. O-line, D-line, or cornerback room, which gets upgraded, if any, today? 11 votes cast. I'm very impressed, guys. I'm very impressed with Mad Hatter Nation. You guys are some high IQ sons of guns over here, dominating it with 100% of the vote. Beef up the offensive trenches. I think we know the reality of Taylor Decker and the sobering reality of Christian Mahogany. Unfortunately, he's going to be out for a little bit of time there with an injury. And Graham Glasgow just not being what we need you to be, Hoss. You just need to, you needed to put your big boy shitting pants on, and you just never got around to it. You know what I'm saying? Never got around to it. But so we do have 10 players the Lions could target at the 2025 NFL trade deadline. If there's any news you guys see breaking during the show that I'm not talking about, go ahead and drop it down in the comments below. We do like to see. We will kick over and talk about any breaking trades that the Lions might be partaking in. The way the desk kind of sits right here, I feel like I look like a Muppet, like a talking head Muppet. I might be an AI. You never know. We'll cover one thing other than trade deadline news. Jared Goff Jared Goff is trying to set aside justifiable concerns about the Lions' offense. The Lions' offense is not as sharp as as its fans have become accustomed to, and Jared Goff is trying very hard not to set alarms. Obviously, you guys, we have seen it. We've seen it now twice, and the two times we really seen it, because I'm going to go ahead and set the Kansas City game aside. It's impossible to win a game or make excuses when the refs are just not even applying lubricant and just sliding it home. So we're gonna set that one aside with an asterisk. You dicks. But the two big L's then coming against divisional opponents, and both times we look stagnant on offense. So there has been some alarm bells ringing for Detroit Lions fans. We have talked about it a little bit, and hopefully it's just something that can be worked out. Though, right out of the bye week, the two times that have been glaring. Week 1, you'd expect to have everything kind of tuned up and at least a script to follow, at least a 20-game or a 20-play script to follow. That fell apart. And then right out of the bye week, same thing, third verse, same as the first. Not so great, not so good. Right out the gate, you'd expect things to be polished up and running like a highly tuned machine, and it looked anything but against the Minnesota Queens on Sunday. So we'll talk about all of this and more, taking your super chats here at the Hat and Beard Show. If you guys could do me a solid now that we've chatted it up for a good solid 7 minutes, would you mind walking on over to that subscribe button, subscribing to the channel if you're new here, ring that notification bell so you can be notified every time we go live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here at youtube.com, as well as every single Detroit Lions game. We host a pregame show, kind of like a digital tailgate. Go ahead and click around, hang out. We'd love to take your chats, make some bets, and see what's going on. There's a bunch of you guys, Mad Hatter Nation, down in the chat, and some of them asked me where you're at. Why aren't you here? Come on in, hang out, and do things, ask questions, give us your takes. It's awesome. It's what we like to do. Go ahead and hit the like button while you're rooting around, and then it's the best thing you can do to help get this channel to grow. Share this video around with all of your friends, every single person you know. Tell them, run up to them, tell them to stop what they're watching and watch this. Drop what you're watching and watch this. Watch the Hat and Beard Show. Subscribe here because he's got a face for radio. And he needs you to help him grow. Guys, now that stuff is all out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the show.
If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well, then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
All right, Mad Hatter Nation, good morning, everybody. We got everyone down in the chat. Mr. Detroit City is here. Jack2125. My mom's hanging out. Rick C., how you doing, brother? Brandy Coffee, sister, it's good to see you. Derek Harp over there on the West Coast. God damn, brother, getting up early as heck to come hang out with us, dude. I really appreciate that. My guy, Jennifer Steen, welcome to Mad Hatter Nation. She says, trade Morton. Yes, I completely agree with you on that. Cheers to you right there. You guys, shout out Jennifer Steen. Yes, trade Morton. I'm not necessarily all against him. I'm not one of those guys that's just like, F John Morton. But because I was one of those guys that is a big Hank Fraley fan, and I was rooting for him to become the offensive coordinator, him or Mark Brunell, it's kind of one of those, it's like, oh, well. You know what I'm saying? But until they do something, it is what it is, and we're stuck with where we're at. Rick C's here. Brent DeWitt, how you doing, brother? Jody Carruthers, good to see you, sister. You guys, now that we are here, we are hanging out, we are rocking and rolling. Don't forget to engage with the poll. Let us know your thoughts on what we should do. If any moves are going to be made, what are we going to do? Do you guys really think? Just comment down in the chat. Do we think Brad's going to make a move? Do we see a move on the horizon? Is Brad in the kitchen cooking, or is everything already in the pot? Is it all in the pot? Is it already in the oven? You know what I'm saying? Or does he have one more ingredient he can just kind of add? What's up, Dad? How you doing? Good to see you this morning. Bro, would be cool if I think Scotty would be most likely. Yeah, probably. That makes sense. Scotty Montgomery, simply because of the success he had historically as a running backs coach. And then the evolution he was able to make is transitioning into the wide receivers coach on top of the development, the maturity, the physical discipline, and growth physically as well as mentally of Jameson Williams. So that is, I think, simply because of Scotty Montgomery. I think Antoine Randall was not necessarily the disciplinarian or held everyone accountable the way that Montgomery does. So, yeah, I could see actually that move, that Scotty Montgomery move right there. Rick C, shout out on a good take right there, dude. Brandon Martin says Hank Fraley will get his offensive line back together. I hope so, dude. He is one of the best, if not the best, offensive line coach in football, in my opinion. He's been able to do a lot with, at times, very, very little. Now, that is a huge asterisk, because when you have what will be one of the all-time greats playing at the right tackle position, his not natural position, just waiting for Decker to move out of town so we can transition back to the left side, maybe. We'll see. Playing on your offensive line, it makes your job a little bit easier, as well as what could be a Hall of Fame career, although it be at the back third of Frank Ragnow. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, let's quickly cover a little Monday Night Football here before we get too deep into the trade waters. Through 5 weeks of agonizing losses, the Arizona Cardinals emerged victorious Monday night following an unprecedented string of nail-biting defeats. The Cardinals entered their NFL-long 5-game losing streak with Jacoby Brissett fueled 27-17 win over the Dallas Cowboys. Brissett, starting his third straight game in place of injured Kyler Murray, had 3 total touchdowns, throwing for 2 and 261 yards on 21 of 31 passing, and a sneaky in for another 6. The veteran quarterback piloted 5 scoring drives, including back-to-back 74-yard marches, the longest scoring drives of the season for Arizona offense. And, you know, when I think of Jacoby Brissett and the performance that he has, the career that he's had, it's like, you know, do you think that Jameson Williams looks on in awe and goes, I could be that? Despite Briskett's, I like to call him Jacoby Brissett, performance Monday and the 2 preceding it, Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon remains steadfast that Murray will be his starter when he returns from a foot injury. His foot is in his butt. Perhaps on Sunday against the first-place Seattle Seabags. Yeah, nothing's changed, Gannon said. Further pressed on the issue, Gannon shut down the conversation. Over the 3 starts, the offense has drastically improved in production, averaging 25 points per game and 256 passing yards compared to 18 points and 170 with Murray. On Monday, second-year wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. had a career best 7 catches for 96 yards and a tickety-tuckety-doo. Put his pads on and showed up, Brissett said when asked to explain what MHJ did to create opportunities. I mean, once he got off the bus, I knew he was going to be open. We knew we were going to get our chances outside. This has been building for him, and it's a step in the right direction. You saw it in his eyes when he got off the bus, and we were in the locker room. Coach told me what the first couple of plays were, and he was like, we're going to switch it up, and we're going to do this for Marv. I'm like, all right. And I think I knew I threw it to him 4 times in a row on the first drive. I was like, I think I'm going to do this the whole game if they keep doing it. Just super happy for him. I know we want a couple more, and I do too. But here's a couple of things I wanted to get to him. Just be super happy for him. Standout Trey McBride notched a touchdown on a 3rd straight contest, a feat not seen by a Cardinals tight end since 1987. Oh, wow. in just 3 games with Brissett at the helm. McBride has 4 tugs and 39 with Murray. He has 5. Wow! Oh. So does Jacoby Brissett end up being the end of Kyler Murray in Arizona? How embarrassing for poor little Kyler. What's up, Kerry Simtich? I see you hanging out in chat, dude. I see you, brother. What's going on, man? I thought he played well again instead of Brissett. I thought he operated. Having begun the season 2-0, the Cardinals' ensuing 5 games saw them lose by 1 score each time, and their opponent taking the lead with less than 5 minutes to play. Through weeks 3 through 5, the Cardinals found an otherworldly way to lose in heartbreaking fashion, with defeats against the Niners, Seahawks, and Titans, all coming via field goals with no time left. Then came back-to-back setbacks against the Indianapolis Colts and Green Bay Packers, in which they allowed go-ahead touchdowns with 4 minutes and a minute 50 left, respectively. On Monday, Arizona began the 4th quarter with a 17-point lead, and then Dak found Ryan Flournoy, Dakota Rain Prescott found Ryan Flournoy, and all of a sudden Arizona's lead was 27-17, and everyone was like, oh, they're going to actually lose again. How embarrassing. How embarrassing. For the journeyman signal caller, the win ended an individual losing streak of 6 consecutive starts as he earned his first QB victory since week 1 of last season with the New England Patriots. He wouldn't get into any decision-making as it relates to the starting spot. You know, I mean, I'm not going to read all the rest of this. It's just Jacoby Brissett talking about how he's a good team player and how it's all about the team, and he says all the right things, which is why he's had this long of a career. Not only can he still play physically, you know, make the right decisions and navigate a team to a victory on a Monday Night Football game, which you were supposed to lose. He's also a good locker room presence. So good on Jacoby Brissett. I've never really been a hater of Jacoby Brissett. So good on him for being able to lead the Cardinals to a big win and break not only his own personal losing streak, but also the Arizona Cardinals, just like embarrassing slide that they've had going on for the last little bit. Special teams and Coach Phipp had their worst game in 4 years. Fans should realize that more. It wasn't all Morton's fault. We lost many people. Messed up, such as Anzo, the line, and drops, etc. Mr. Detroit City, I agree with you, dude. You are completely correct on that. Keitho, good morning, brother. Good to say we better be in the market for a different OC. So many weapons, and offense looks stale AF. I've been saying this as soon as small PP Ben Johnson left, he let Montgomery be OC. It's a fair take, dude. I think you're not the only person who is a big fan of Scotty Montgomery being the OC. I personally am a Hank Fraley and or Mark Brunell guy. People forget that last OC sold out on us in the biggest game of our team's history. Playing tricks and having a terrible game plan. Don't let this game ruin your view of Morton. You know, Mr. Detroit City, you are 100% right, and it's something that I have been kind of a little bit lax on recently, and that is that Ben Johnson not only sold us out against the Washington Commies by deliberately tanking the game because he wanted to get into Chicago to start implementing change. He'd known since November of last year that he was going to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. See a slip-up interview that Dennis Allen said about Ben Johnson calling him back in November about hiring him as his defensive coordinator. Dakota Rain sounds like an old country song, doesn't it, though, Rick C? I thought someone was going to catch a manslaughter charge. Goff is getting killed out there. Keitho, our offensive line looked absolutely ass water. Just straight ass water Sunday against Minnesota. It was bad. It was just bad. And it starts with the guy calling the protections up front. And we have seen him more than once this year make the wrong call and just whiff on blocks. So Graham Glasgow, I'm not putting it all on him, but there's quite a bit of blame to be put on Graham Glasgow. So we're going to just kind of quickly peruse over here at the CBS Sports Desk. Going to see what they got as far as any type of trades. 8 minutes ago, Lions offensive line help ahead of trade deadline. Coach Dan Campbell admitted as much on 97.1 The Ticket, revealing Detroit is interested in more depth for its offensive front after losing starting left guard Mahogany to a long-term injury. Guys, oh shit, boys and girls. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. But who? Who could we possibly be trading for? Lions trade news. Do. Nothing brand new. What is this? What is this? John Macaron. Frank Ragnow return. What? What? No. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here, pop-ups. I'm sorry, chat. You guys are getting the autist version of me right now. Here's also health update. Will Frank Ragnow return? Many fans have clamored the return of Frank Ragnow, especially given the recent struggles of the offense. Unfortunately, a return seems highly unlikely. Here's what I know about Frank. If Frank really wanted to, he would be blowing up my phone, Campbell said. And I haven't gotten a text yet, so I think Frank is feeling good about the decision. Look, they just had another baby, so I'm happy for them. That ship has sailed. Shit! Damn it! Yep, Jennifer, you're right. They clickbaited the shit out of me on that one. Well, isn't that just lame? I got so excited. I got excited over nothing. Same fans were dancing around not too long ago saying how amazing things look. True. We didn't notice weak spot on the O-line because of Ragnow. Mom, you're completely correct. Frank Ragnow. That's why I say he's at least a Ring of Honor member for the Detroit Lions, if not a Hall of Fame caliber center, though. That is a big ask for Frank Ragnow to get into the Hall of Fame, considering he will be overshadowed by playing with Jason Kelce at the same time as a guy like Jason Kelce. Gibbs had cool costumes, had a bad game. The team will be fine overall. So he was one of the something Hardy, right? One of the Hardy Boys or something like that. He was a wrestler. He looked cool, but most of their costumes look cool. It's just clearly we were more focused on how well we looked at the Halloween party than we were with executing the X's and O's on Sunday, and maybe a little less distractions will result in a few more W's. Got to right this ship. Got to refocus. Frank isn't coming out of retirement, but I'm sure Brad has tried. You're probably right, Rick. He probably has tried. One or two contested catches either. Keitho, I just think that we've. So you know what it is. You know what I think it is. Now that I've had a couple minutes to hear kind of process it. We're like, why doesn't Tesla get more run? John Morton, blah, 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 all this stuff. You know what it probably is, guys? You know what it probably is? This is John Morton's first year calling an offense. And we just hit the halfway mark of his rookie campaign calling plays. He's probably starting to feel a little bit of the water rising. Not in that the rising tide raises all ships, but maybe starting to feel a little out of his depth. Maybe maybe starting to realize that there were some things he wasn't necessarily prepared for. Especially when you look at the defensive coordinators he's gone against. Most of them, at least in our losses, have been really good defensive coordinators. Right? Brian Flores, there's a reason why Brian Flores has the vaunted Brian Flores defense, right? Steve Spagnuolo could be a Hall of Fame coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs, despite the refs bailing out the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? He was the OC for the Jets in 2017. Yeah, and how well did that work out for him, Brent? You are correct. And how well did that work out for him? So he had almost a decade to figure out where he fucked up as the offensive coordinator for the Jets and polish that up. And it seems that maybe bad habits are rearing their ugly head. You know what I'm saying? Whatever was not working seems to be what he's possibly fallen back to. I do have to shout out Keitho screen passes and another screen pass. Oh, wait, another screen pass. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, the screen has to work. You know what I mean? And it's like, the screen's not working. He's like, but if I keep think of the Bucs game, right? If I keep running David Montgomery directly at Vita Vea, eventually he'll break one, right? Well, that never fucking worked out. You know what I'm saying? You think the Lions should sign Shaq Mason? Shaq Mason, is he a defensive end? Am I thinking of Shaq Lawson? Refresh me, Brandon Martin. Shout out Brandon. Just give me a quick refresher on who Shaq Mason is, because I might be confusing him with somebody else. Steve A. He is calling the plays the same way he did for the Jets, and that's why he needs to go. Steve A. That's what I'm saying, bro. Oh, he's a right guard. Okay. At this point, I'll take anybody to add interior offensive line help. I'm not entirely sold on Kyoto Awashika. He's a stopgap, but not a guy you want playing in the NFC title game at San Francisco, right? We know how that goes, right? We know how that goes. But Steve A, yes, that's what I'm saying about John Morton, is he seems to be doing a little bit of the bad habits that cost him his job at New York. And shout out Brent DeWitt, you were correct. I forgot that he was the offensive coordinator in the Jets because he was so good. It was such a memorable offensive performance in 2017 for the Jets. He's a right guard, not an end. Appreciate it, Mr. Detroit City. Yeah, I'll take any interior offensive line help. Good morning, Riley. How you doing, brother? Riley says, good morning, all. Love the show because it's genuine and quality content. Thank you, dude. Thank you. I try to be very genuine. Quality, some days we have our issues, but we're doing the best that we can. But, dude, I just try to give you as genuine as I can. I honestly, guys, I don't even really pre-read these articles. I kind of just read them, and you guys are getting my honest reaction as I kind of skim through them. It's just... Yeah, you say quality content as I'm like reading with my 6th grade reading level, like, hook it on phonics, work it for me. All right, so now no more news, at least yet, out of CBS. Seattle unlikely to trade Reek Woolen. Cowboys pull off trade, and then obviously the Dan Campbell hinting at the Lions looking for some help along the interior offensive line on 97.1 the ticket. So we'll kind of keep poking back and refreshing to see what's going on here. Jeremy Reisman, though, over at Pride of Detroit. Shout out Jeremy Reisman over at Pride of Detroit, you guys. I've been reading him more and more, starting to kind of come around on the guy. Rick C. Facts, yay, puppy, put your paw on the play call. Yeah, dude, it's yeah. It's not as bad as Anthony Lynn, but it's a little vanilla. Okay, it is a little vanilla. Like, here we go. Look at vanilla gorilla. Doop. Your scripted plays worked really, really well on the opening drive, but other than that, not so great. So before we get, excuse me, fellas. Got to hit this oil can. All right. Before we get into this, if you're new here and you don't mind, would you kindly subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, do all the things and all the stuff. Also, a reminder, guys, that 100% of all Super Chats are being donated to the local area food bank here through my church with a 2-to-1 match. So 100% of all Super Chats between now and December 7th, as well as 30% of my weekly winnings gambling will be donated. That's how we got up to this very cool so far, plus a couple of cash injections. We are up to $335 that we'll be donating to St. Vincent de Paul charities here in my area that are partnered with Meyer, doing a 2-to-1 match. So far, it's a pretty good number. we had a pretty good week gambling. So share this video around with all your friends, guys. Do the things, do the stuff and the things. Discussion: who are the best NFL trade deadline fits for the Detroit Lions? A look at some of the best NFL trade deadline targets for the Lions. It's official. The trade deadline day If any team wants to complete a trade before the 2025 season, it must be completed by 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. There's been difficulty in evaluating their own needs. Defensively, they're playing good football and more expected to get a few guys back from injured soon, including DJ Reed, Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal, Gross, Kirby, Joseph. Offensively, they could still set a skill position, but the injuries on the offensive line could leave an opening to be filled. Who are the best fits for the Lions at the NFL trade deadline? Their answer: not only is the starting left guard Christian Mahogany expected to be out until nearly the end of the regular season, but that position could use significant upgrade anyway. For the past few weeks, the Lions have struggled to run the ball between the tackles and protect JG16 for MVP from the middle. There are a few popular options out there, one I'm in favor of, and I'm less inclined to do. The lesser option is Titans guard Kevin Zeitler. He's obviously has familiarity with the Lions system and is still playing at a relatively high level. The problem is that his addition would necessitate more shuffling on the offensive line. Zeitler is strictly a right guard, which means Detroit would have to move rookie Tater Ratledge to left guard or center. Relying on a rookie at center is asking for trouble, and even asking him to shift to left guard, where he hasn't played regularly, even in his college career, is a big risk. That said, with only $3.745 million in salaries, Zeitler would be a cheap option, about half that number, at one of Detroit's biggest needs. However, the better fit is Cleveland's Joe Bitonio. I like this move right here. I'm kind of high on this move. Not only is he a 7-time Pro Bowler, but he's a full-time left guard, and he would come with just a $1.2555 million salary. Most of his money is tied up in signing and option bonuses that stay with the Cleveland Brown Eyes. That said, because of the cap hit the Brown Eyes would take, it could drive the compensation price up. And, that's kind of where we're in. The biggest hurdle here is the Browns themselves. On Monday, Adam Schefter reported that Cleveland appears to be more inclined to buy than sell, despite the fact that they're 2-6 on the season. Schefter adds they're looking for young players. Bitonio is 34, and in the last year of his contract in Cleveland. He is quite literally a perfect candidate for the Browns to trade. That said, for a team trying to evaluate their rookie quarterback, I could understand if they aren't willing to jeopardize their own pass protection. That makes a lot of sense as far as, making sense. But are the Cleveland Brown Eyes known for making a lot of sense there? Sticking with the offensive line, I think the Lions could also use some reassurance at tackle. Both Penei Sewell and Decker are currently battling injuries, and while they aren't expected to be long-term, Decker has not been at his best and could probably use more rest. That's where Cardinals tackle Kelvin Beachum comes in. Beachum is now 136 years old and a backup for Arizona. He has 162 games of starting experience in his career. The drawbacks are that he's never been a great run blocker, and he's obviously not a starter right now. But he comes with a just prorated part of his $1.99 million salary, could help calm down pass protection on either side. He has good experience at both left and right tackle, and would likely be traded for a late-round swap. The Cardinals did win Monday night in the 3-5 season with a daunting NFC West. The other three teams have 6 wins each. I don't think it's a realistic shot at making noise this year, so why not unload a 36-year-old backup for some draft capital? I only really I like the idea of Zeitler because of the familiarity, but I don't like the idea of having to shuffle the offensive line post-bye week mid-season. I do really, really like the idea of Joel Bitonio, but I just don't see a world if the Brown Eyes are, in fact, buyers and looking to get an honest evaluation of their young quarterbacks. The best thing you can do is put your best available offensive line players out in front of them to give yourself the best possible protection to get the most amount of time for your quarterback, a young quarterback, to make the best decision available. You don't want him forcing things. Is that an honest possibility in Cleveland at this point? Probably not. But do you really want to go from a really bad situation to an absolute shit show and ruin your young, shiny new quarterbacks that you're kind of trying to say are your future at quarterback, like Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel? Can Joel Bitonio be pried away from Cleveland? And what kind of draft capital would the Lions have to give up for him? At 400 years old, probably looking at a 5th, 6th, and maybe or a conditional future 4th, 5th, or 6th. Is that something we're really willing to give up? Mind you, we don't have a 3rd-round pick this year. We utilized it to trade up in this year's draft to go after Ratledge and Tesla and those type of guys. So is there a possibility? How do we feel, chat? What are we doing down here, Mad Hatter Nation? Oh, Mr. Detroit City is single-handedly trying to increase the population of Florida. By the time it's all said and done, he's going to have all of Mad Hatter Nation down in Florida, and you're going to catch me broadcasting and talking about the fucking Florida Gators. Duncan Stewart, what's up, brother? Good to see you. We need a 3rd-year stud at right tackle this year. I think we do need a guy because I would like to see eventually Penne slide over to the left side to take over the left tackle, a position that he's just going to absolutely dominate at. No betting fees in Michigan. You know before you even did it, Brent. I would rather get Zeitler chemistry with Sewell, Decker, Glasgow, and Hank. You're not wrong there, Keitho. I am just such a big Tater Ratledge fan. I don't know if you're here for the draft process. I love the pre-draft. I love the combine and the pre-draft process. I love doing mock drafts. Oh my gosh, do I like doing mock drafts. So Keitho, actually, the day of the draft, I actually take the week of the draft off of work. I take it off on vacation. But I actually said that if there's one player that I wanted to walk out of this draft with, it was Tater Ratledge and Brad Holmes and I. That's why people consistently confuse me for Brad Holmes, because we're just so on the ball with things. Florida sells itself. You're not wrong, dude, but you are a big advocate. I think maybe the legislature should realize how much work you're doing, maybe give you a tax break for all of the pro-Florida propaganda you push out there on us. But it does sell itself. It's kind of a hard argument to say don't move there. You know what I'm saying? Go over draft day as we stop trades here today, Goose. Oh, man, I am so ready. I'm not ready for the draft, but it is one of my favorite parts. It is. Derek Lewis, what's up, dude? Shout out, Derek Lewis. How you doing, brother? Welcome to the chat, dude. Worked at the governor's mansion for the last 2, actually. No shit. That's crazy, Mr. Tracy. That's dope. Maybe you should tell the boy what's up, and if you can, maybe get a scoop on his boots. Were there lifts in those boots? While we're talking about trading players and the deadline, here's 10 players the Lions could target at the trade deadline. Emmett over at Lions on SI. There's some names. There's some names that I like. There's some names that aren't going to happen. There's some names that I really like, guys. We already talked about Kevin Zeitler. We know the familiarity and how reassuring and comfortable he is here. Joel Bitonio, we just talked about both of those guys, so we're not going to continue to beat this dead horse. A guy I was super high on coming out of the draft, Boye Mafe from the Seattle Seabags. Mafe is one of the most intriguing options at the deadline, as the Minnesota product has now lost the favor of the current Seabags regime after 15 sacks between 2023 and 2024 with Seattle. Mafe has only started half of his 8 games this season and has an underwhelming stat line of 13 tackles, 2 hits, and 2 passes defended. In 221 pass rush snaps, 26th among edges, Mafe is putting up 44th ranked grade among 119 qualifying players. He can produce and certainly help raise both the ceiling and floor of the Lions' pass rush of Aiden Hutchinson, Al-Qadim Muhammad, and currently injured Marcus Davenport and linebacker Trevor Nowitzki. I really want us to go after Boye Mafe. Guys, if there is an edge player left for us to go after, I wanted Jalen Phillips. I really wanted Jalen Phillips, but if we're going to make a trade for a relatively young, relatively volatile and explosive, effective edge rusher who desperately needs a change of scenery, Boye Mafe is exactly what we need. Guys, do you like this pick? Let me know in the chat. Do you like Boye Mafe? Your internet keeps going out. See you tomorrow. All right, Kerry, my guy. Good luck, dude. I'm sorry about your internet problems, brother. There are definitely lifts in those boots. I'm going to put the boots into Ace of Brad if he doesn't address the line. Derek Harp, shout out. Gonna put them little lifted. Oh shit, what was his name? Oh my gosh, what is the governor of Florida's name? DeSantis. Ron DeSantis. Why did I want to say Rick DeSantis? Ron DeSantis. Davenport is a monster, but can't stay healthy. Keith, he is a physical specimen. If you want to know the reality of it, you guys, I think that Marcus Davenport is too big for his ligatures, or is ligatures the right word? His ligaments and his tendons and stuff. I don't think his actual biology, meaning a skeletal frame and the ligaments that hold everything together. I think he is outworked and outgained as far as mass and muscle build. I think he's outperformed where his body can handle, and that's why he continues to get hurt. I think he's actually too big, if that makes sense. He's too much of a monster. You know what I'm saying? Offer a trade to the second team. We're entering G1 Storm, Solar Flares, CME, OK, TV go fuzzy for 4 days. No shit, dude. That's wild. No shit. DeSantis. Yep, that's who it was. DeSantis. Yes, sir. Yeah, you could technically do that in Michigan. It's just not the ocean. You're right. The Great Lakes. But so, guys, I like the Boye Mafe. I like Boye Mafe. I also like Tyreek Woolen. I like Reek Woolen. We've talked about Reek Woolen. But the latest news over from the CBS News Sports Desk has that the Seattle Seabags are definitely not trading. Despite some outside buzz, the Seahawks are not expected to trade former Pro Bowl cornerback Reek Woolen, who is entering the final year of his contract. Woolen had 5 picks and 25 pass breakups. So it looks like he's not on the move, which is a guy that I was pretty high and heavy on. So we're going to... we already read that article. Let's go over here. John Simpson from the Jets. Simpson is in the midst of a down year, which is synonymous with the Jets' current season. However, just last season, the Jets' left guard was in the middle of a career year. The 28-year-old is in the final season of his contract and could be a piece that Aaron Glenn's Jets move on to from Tuesday. The big question becomes if Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell can persuade their former defensive coordinator to part ways with a starting lineman. That's a big if and not a bad play, actually. John Simpson, I think, is that real kind of quiet, sneaky, underwhelming play that Brad Holmes, just like he's been doing. Think of the Tyreek Williams pick, right? Very underwhelming, but hugely beneficial in the grand scheme of things, at least so far. John Simpson, not a big name, not something that we're like, yeah, that's the guy, woo, gimme. But it makes sense. Familiarity with Aaron Glenn maybe could grease the wheels a little bit of the trade deal. Also, it's mutually beneficial. The Jets are going to need draft capital in the upcoming draft to continue to facilitate their rebuild. Big ship turns slow. Draft capital, easiest way to do that. It not only allows you the availability to go out and get young players at a relatively discounted rate, but it also gives Aaron Glenn the ability and the Jets to move about the draft board, move up for guys, gives them a little bit more leverage. It's a mutually beneficial boon for both organizations in this situation, in my opinion. I would like to see it, especially if he's already a left guard. Could be that really underwhelming, quiet maneuver that everybody isn't like super duper high on when Brad Holmes does it, but could be the thing that actually is the catalyst that gets us over the hump, especially with Mahogany going down. Someone who won't be able to play immediately. You know, you're probably right. It's going to be some Joe Schmo name. Yeah, Keith, and that's probably it. But that's kind of what I was thinking with John Simpson. Kind of a underwhelming move, you know. Derek Lewis, there's not enough Geritol to keep Decker, Skipper, and Glasgow going for another year. You are right, dude. I'm pretty sure that this is the end of Taylor Decker. He should probably retire at the end of this year. And regardless of if Glasgow wants to play or not, I don't think he is worth keeping in the Motor City as far as building a foundation for the players to catalyst themselves from. Alante Taylor is a name we've seen popping up a bit. I'm kind of blasé on that. Trey Hendrickson, let's be real, guys. Let's tamper our expectations. Yeah, Yeah, if Trey Hendrickson comes to the Detroit Lions, that's absolutely huge, and then you immediately extend him. If we're able to do it in a relatively not crippling way as far as draft capital is concerned, that's great, and pull the trigger, and then you immediately extend Trey Hendrickson for 3 years. But also remember that if my grandma had been born with wheels, she'd have been a wagon. So that's just not going to happen. I'm not going to hold my breath over Trey Hendrickson. Evan Brown. Well, hello, Evan Brown. Familiarity. We've talked about Evan Brown here on the channel a few times before, guys. And I'm all in favor of us being able to get Evan Brown as long as it's on the cheap. I think he'd be a nice stopgap with familiarity in the offense and is a pretty good player. Malcolm Noose over at the Raiders, another edge rusher that I'm kind of high on. Noose is an under-the-radar name that could be shopped at the deadline. The Lions have a history of benefiting from a player that flies under the radar, as evidenced by Al-Qadim Muhammad. Noose is only 2 years removed from an 8-sack campaign in 2023, but the Buffalo product missed 2024 with an ACL turn. With Miami's Jalen Phillips off the board and the trade for Hendrickson exceedingly unlikely, an unheralded name like Noose might be the best option for the Motor City. Noose has 1 sack and 14 pressures this season, which is the last season he is under contract for. Interior offensive line Nick Algiretti from the Washington Commanders. Algiretti is the player that just recently got added to the trade market, as the Commanders just saw their season likely go up in smoke following a gruesome injury to franchise quarterback Jaden Daniels. Please, Washington, for everyone's sake, mine, yours, Jaden Daniels, fans of the Washington Commies, fans of football, for the love of God, do not RG3 Jaden Daniels. Let the man get healthy. I don't fucking care how much of a playoff implication his return might have. For the love of God, let the man get healthy. You have a history of ruining quarterbacks, young explosive quarterbacks. For the love of God, do not let Jaden Daniels ruin his career by being the next RG3. Oh my God. The former Chiefs offers a lot of upside and is likely a popular name inquired about on Tuesday. However, Algieri does have a similar drawback to Zeitler, as he played primarily right guard in 25. That said, he was a starting left guard with the Commanders last season, which would result in a smaller adjustment window. Additionally, it is worth noting that 3-time Super Bowl champion has been playing exclusively special teams since week 2, meaning a trade for him means acquiring a player that can raise the floor. However, Algieri would be questionable as one to raise the ceiling with his acquisition. Not entirely sold on it, not mad about it, but one of those underwhelming kind of blasé moves. Something that I think is what we need to realize, that instead of calling them blasé moves, I think we just call them Brad Holmes moves. Brad Holmes, and unfortunately, as far as wanting a big splash trade, Brad Holmes already did that once in his career, and it took an awful lot, and you see how long people talked about it, but it was a foundationary trade for the Detroit Lions in order to do this complete franchise rebuild. Ever since then, yes, he has been known to wheel and deal, but it's not these big grandiose, package deals of historic implications anymore. He makes the small, subtle adjustments. Zadarius Smith for a 6th-round pick that everybody was so high on. Was his production really there? No, but was the excitement there? Yes, because we needed an edge rusher, and Zadarius Smith was a character and a fun character to have on the field. Unfortunately, it didn't justify, or his production didn't justify keeping him around, and then I had to argue with all of you all during the offseason about how, if you look at the math, his numbers weren't there, and Al-Qadim Muhammad is just as effective as a pass rusher, and one of us is proven right, and most of you were proven wrong. Not saying you guys are all wrong, but I was just saying, So I'd like to see, obviously, I am really, really looking for Boye Mafe to be the guy. I am so high on Boye Mafe. That is my guy. We also need to get the hell out of alumni Mac lineman. Wake up, Dan calling. Hell yeah. What's Iffy doing if he injured? I love that guy. Bummed he left. I liked Iffy too, Keitho. I thought he was fun. Moneyball, does he get sacks? Yes, hired, exactly. Most O-line players can play multiple positions. I don't see Zeitler not fitting right away. It's true. But Zeitler, he's just too old. Yeah, Rick, see, I agree with you. Trey ain't happening. You can be underwhelmed and you can be overwhelmed, but can you just be whelmed? Derek Harp, shout out. I think that is a line from Young Justice, season 1. maybe season 2, I think. Yeah. Shout out. Oh, they should have kept Sudfeld at center. At least they would have sent him an honest message. Gary Sudfeld. I remember Nate Sudfeld. Oh, what a gross experience the Nate Sudfeld experience was. That was not fun. With injuries, we have to look at age. At 42-year-old place kicker, okay, a tackle. Yeah. The age thing. Once you get over the 35, unless you are a real high-end offensive lineman, you're even then starting. Look at Jason Peters, right? Look at how well he just kind of fizzled out. Not so great. All right. You know what? I don't really feel like ending on a down note, guys. I don't feel like talking smack about the offense right now. We kind of talked about that early on. I'm just kind of wanting to put my energy into us acquiring Boye Mafe and an interior offensive lineman, or an interior offensive lineman and Boye Mafe. You guys know that if I want an edge player, I want Boye Mafe. But I think based on Dan Campbell tipping his hand, 97.1 the Ticket's new radio show, that they're looking for interior offensive lineman help. I think that is the reality of what we need to be focused on. We need to bolster what has been a struggling part of the strongest unit of our team. And Mahogany going down, it's just another kick in the dick. You know what I mean? It's just a straight kick in the dick. Glasgow's not playing great. Ratledge just having some growing pains. Taylor Decker's getting old. Penei Sewell got poked in the eye. Mahogany's out for basically the season at this point. And it's just a big old kick right in the dick. So if we could bring in some help and maybe remove that foot from our dick, that would be absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. Brad stuns everyone. On positive side, Goff can take some hard hits. Yeah, Goff can. He is still getting back up. Real quick, guys. So I was just poking around on the old YouTubes here, and I came across a channel that voices a bunch of old speeches, right? And now, when you think old speeches, we think of old, Washington, Lincoln. But I don't really consider, like Teddy Roosevelt to be that old. Yes, he's old. It was old, but it was, during the relatively modern era. And I'm just listening to all these old-timey talks, and I was reminded of this old Greg Giraldo bit. Do you guys know who Greg Giraldo is? Do you guys remember Greg Giraldo? He's dead now. But do you guys remember Greg Giraldo? He was a really funny stand-up comic. Goff yelling at Morton in the locker room was a side of him I didn't know, but I like it. Yeah, actually, Henry Hutchins, stop throwing screenplays on third down, please. Shout out Henry Hutchins. Welcome to Mad Hatter Nation, brother. I agree with you, and I think we all agree with you as well. I had content creator make videos directly, specifically at me for saying Sudfeld will get cut last season. Well, I don't know why, dude. There's nothing wrong with Sudfeld saying that. He was a piece of shit, dude. All right, guys. So yeah, you guys remember. We're gonna call him Johnny Screen Morton. I'm just gonna call him Johnny Screens until proven otherwise. We're just gonna call him Johnny Screens instead of Johnny Moe. He's Johnny Screens. Yeah, he's just gonna be Johnny Screens. All right, so I was reminded of this Greg Giraldo bit, about how language has changed so much over the years. So, guys, check this little Greg Giraldo bit out right here. We're gonna enjoy this, and then we're gonna get up out of here for the day.
Letters. Let's face it, our reading and writing skills in our country, every day there's a story in the paper about how shitty our schools are. They just keep getting worse all the time. I read a book, it was filled with letters that soldiers during the Civil War had written to their girlfriends back home. These guys were kids. They were 14, 15-year-old kids. Most of these guys had never even been to school, but every single letter in the book was incredible. Every single letter was like, "My dearest Hannah, this morn finds me racked by the fiery pangs of your absence. I'll bear your cherished memory with me as I battle the forces of tyranny and oppression."
Tyranny and oppression.
Now think about what the typical letter from your average modern-day soldier to his girlfriend back home in, New Jersey's got to read like. "Dear Marie, it is hot as fuck out here. It is hard to fight these sand monkeys with your balls stuck to your legs. It is very, very hot out here because I am in the desert.
Every time.
What else did I want to ask you? Oh yeah, don't fuck nobody, leg it back.
Oh yeah, don't fuck nobody.
You know the problem with, I think, children and all that sort of young generation now, is that they're raised in this coddling environment where they can do no wrong, and everybody grows up feeling so fucking good about themselves that it's just fucking disgusting. I want that self-hatred and misery that we grew up with, where your parents didn't tell you anything. There was no like, hey, you took a shit, congratulations, let's fucking set off a fireworks display. That was the greatest shit I'd ever seen ever. Look at the shit that Johnny took. It's all shitty like, and it's been mounded like a shit. Oh, congratulations, John. You know, when I was a kid, like when Muhammad Ali said, I'm the greatest of all time, that sounded like the most fucked up thing anyone had ever said out loud. You couldn't believe someone would say that. Now, you go on MySpace, every fucking zit-faced 20-year-old's taking self-portraits. Look, I'm the hottest motherfucker ever. Look at me. Everyone's all proud and confident. Everyone thinks they got something to say. You watch the news, the local news. All they do on the news is talk to people. When there's a story, they just talk to people on the street and get their opinion. And everyone, instead of not wanting to be on TV, is like desperate to get their opinion out there. There was this girl in Jersey who threw her baby off a bridge because she had a date and she couldn't find someone to take care of it. Yeah, so instead of she just tossed the baby off the bridge. And that was on the news, which, first of all, how is that a giant news story? I mean, it's a sad story, but it's not news. It's just good ratings, I guess, because you like hearing shit like that, really, because it makes you feel a little bit like a better parent. Yeah, you could say not, but you do feel a little better. Like, all right, I miss a child support payment every once in a while, but I never tossed the kid off the fucking bridge. That's basically, I'm father of the year, really, at this point, because it's not really a news story. It's an individual situation, which is sad. And so she throws her baby off the bridge, and all they did was talk to people on the street and ask them what they thought of that, what their reaction to the story was. That's all they do. First of all, what kind of reaction could you have to that? They talked to one of her neighbors. I swear to God, the girl actually said, oh, she shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't throw your baby in a river. She should have got in like a babysitter or something. Thank God they had this ethics expert on hand to crack that moral dilemma. I thought tossing a kid in the river was really the only way you can go with it, but there were other options, I guess.
Whew. So that's like a good 20-year-old bit, yo. That's a very old bit. As a former soldier, I approve of this message. Hell yeah, Derek. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Derek Lewis, dude, Brandy is incredibly busy. She does so much for this channel. Legit. She's out here just grinding for us. Remember on Analog Broadcast, we went back down in like 2010. Forever Love, Ernest Dumper, USMC. Duncan, are you a Marine Corps member? And wasn't the Marine Corps' birthday like a couple of days ago? Wasn't it just the Marine Corps' birthday not too long ago? Oh, shit. Detroit Sports Talk. Shout out Detroit Sports Talk. Our guy. Bro, like, this dude. You guys, go subscribe. Check out Detroit Sports Talk. This is our guy right here, bro. Hard working. Hard running Jesse out here. He's got to run around like his hair on fire. Breaking news. Lions bracing to be without Penny Sewell and Taylor Decker versus the Commanders. Lions beat reporter Noah Benchy said that 19 hours ago. Great. Isn't that just fucking great? Oh, I'm so excited. Ooh, fuck. That is absolutely ass. Damn it. That sucks donkey balls, guys. I used to get my cigs from a vending machine. Didn't even need ID or money. Rick C, dude. I tell people, I'm like, you guys don't understand. You used to be able to buy cigarettes at the bar, and they're like, from a machine. I'm like, well, yeah. Or you could just like buy them from the bartender, and they would just hand you a pack of cigarettes and put it on your tab, and you just sit there and smoke cigarettes at the bar. Get 2 different dinners of chicken tenders, one at the beginning of the night and one at the end of the night, because you were an alcoholic, and well, you're pretty good at drinking beer. You know what I'm saying? Jennifer Steen, you were in the Air Force. Excellent. That's awesome. My ass rides the Navy equipment. Oh, okay. Derek Harp, you was a Marine. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, you guys. Hell yeah, dude. Johnny Nose Screens. I just subscribed. Thanks, Henry. I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, we got to get Johnny Nose Screens. We can't be letting Johnny Moe just running wild back there because it'll just be screen to the left, screen to the right, screen to the left, screen to the right, and run David Montgomery right at the middle of the offensive line. Oh, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. Make sure that Jahmyr Gibbs touches the ball 900 times a game. So if Sewell's out, I'm scared. No fear. No fear. It'll not be great, but no fear. So keep an eye on Brent DeWitt. You were in the Army. Shout out. That's right. We got a lot of vets in the chat. That's absolutely awesome. I appreciate all you guys and all that you've done. I think it's 1% of the American populace ever volunteers, and we have the greatest and largest fighting force the world has ever seen, made up entirely of a volunteer force. That's fucking impressive, you guys. I don't think you understand historically how fucking impressive that is, right? When you look at the grand scheme of humanity, the fact that it's a volunteer fighting force and it's the largest and greatest fighting force humanity has ever seen. If there's one thing above all of the other awesome, excellent things Americans do, all right, because America, we set the fucking standard, y'all. We are legit. There's a reason why it's American exceptionalism. That's because we're pretty fucking badass at a lot of shit. But if there's one thing that we can really hang our hat and stroke our beard over, it is the fact that America is so good at war. We are so good at war. We are so good at war that other countries historically look on and envy. We have the largest, greatest fighting force this country and the world has ever seen, and it's made up entirely of a volunteer Army, Navy, Marines, airmen, and I guess whatever you would call the potatoes over at Space Force and the Coast Guard. So shout out to each and every one of you who've ever volunteered or served. That's absolutely awesome, you guys, and I appreciate it, you guys. Army ain't really a Marine yet. Gotcha, Derek. Are you going into the Corps, dude? Saw Brainiac saying that Gibbs needed to block better. We didn't draft him to be a great blocker. Ain't that the truth, Brent? I feel like we're going 13-4 this season. Still going to the Super Bowl. Go Lions. You guys, and that's the thing. We are going to the Super Bowl. This is our year. It is 100% Detroit's year to go to the Super Bowl. And it is the clash of destiny between the Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills. And you guys know me. Lions are going to shut out the Bills 59-0 in the Super Bowl while we get our first Super Bowl victory. Oh, and the first of many. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but every Super Bowl from now until the end of days will be the Detroit Lions. Yes, sire, we shall kick back into the face of the modern major media complex in the NFL with all odds stacked against us, and Detroit versus everyone meme becomes reality. They stood in the fires and pushed back to take the championship built entirely off of masculinity and meritocracy. Sire, we can't stop the Detroit Lions. They are inevitable. All right, guys, now that we got extra weird, we're going to end it on that note. I appreciate each and every one of you. Wow, 30 votes in the chat, 34 votes. Damn, 79% of you say beef up the offensive trenches, 12% of you say beef up the defensive trenches, and 9% of you say other. And I like where we're at. This is arguably the most engaged poll we have ever had on the channel. I appreciate all of you and all the new people in the chat. Shout out Derek Lewis, Francis Muldoon. What's up, Dad? How you doing? If you've been back here, Henry Hutchins. That's right, Henry Hutchins. You subscribed. Definitely a new subscriber there. I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you got the notification bell turned on and share this video around with all your friends. We'll be back right here tomorrow at 10 a.m. talking Detroit Lions, any moves that were made at the trade deadline. Keep your eyes on the wire. Let us know. Drop a comment down later on. We'll try and get back to you as much as we can. Guys, stay out of trouble. Have a good rest of your day. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Until next time, bonga bonga. Frig off.